Well, hello, class, and welcome to Marriage and Family Systems from Moody Bible Distance Learning. This is your fearless leader, Professor Jeff, and I wanted to welcome you to week 7. Week 7 of a 8-week class. So we are almost done. I'm so excited that you guys are getting to this week because I think this week is a very challenging week. You're going to be reading Sumner about confrontation in marriage, particularly as it relates to Matthew 18. And you're going to be reading Gary Chapman's book, When Sorry Isn't Enough, and you're going to be thinking about what type of apology actually works best for you. And what I have found in this class is that most times people have not thought about this. This is something totally new to them. The idea of what kind of apology, what does that even mean? So as you read, many of you are familiar with the 5 love languages. Well, Gary Chapman has come up with the 5 languages of apology. So as you read this book, I want you to be thinking about not just for the class, right? But for your relationships, for your wife or for your husband or for your boyfriend or for your girlfriend or for your family or coworkers. What kind of apology actually touches your heart, actually reaches you and means something? Okay? So that's your first thing. That's assignment 2.5. Assignment 2.6, you're going to talk about Matthew 18 and confrontation in marriage. Now, I also want to tell you that I'm looking for a little bit of a critical eye in this paper. This is kind of an interesting take on Matthew 18. Not everyone agrees with this, and so you don't necessarily have to agree with it either. You may not, but I'm looking for a critical take on it. I'm looking for you to look at it and tell me what you think. Really think, not just, oh, I think this was great. Maybe not. The best paper I had in this class was last 8 weeks, and he ripped it apart. Theologically, it was strong. And I could have probably argued the other side. So it's easy to say, oh, it was so awesome. But I'd like you to look at it a little more critically than that. And then you're going to do assignment 5, which is a budget. Every time I teach this class, I am floored by how important this assignment ends up being and how much clarity it brings to, especially if you are a millennial. Okay, I don't want to pick on millennials, but if you're a millennial, how much looking at a budget like this shows you where your treasure is going. Okay, then you have your discussion board, of course, and the discussion board is how does Matthew 18 and Ephesians 5 work together in marriage? So, with that said, I wanted to show you something really quick. I've been talking to a lot of students, many of them young, many of them just married, and my wife and I had a very rough first year. We did not like each other very much. We loved each other enough to get married, obviously, but man, that brought out a lot of issues and a lot of baggage. And I didn't know till later, but my wife was praying for me. She was praying that I would get hit by a Greyhound bus. This is absolutely true. She was praying that I'd get hit by a bus so then she could be a widow, everybody would feel sorry for her, and then she could go on with her life without this jerk that she had married. So a friend of ours actually bought us a Greyhound bus. So we're about to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. Obviously, she doesn't want me to get hit by this bus anymore. But this reminds us that marriage is hard work. And I want to encourage you, marriage is hard work. If you are married, it's hard work, but it's worth it. I have a friend who works at a church, and she's a secretary, and when she used to, the copier broke down all the time. And I said, you got to have the bulletin, right? You can't just bash it with a baseball bat and say, I'm done. You get it fixed. So if you are going through issues in your marriage, whether you're first married or whether you're now, you've been married a while, we've been in marriage counseling twice or 3 times in our marriage. It helped tremendously. We are not ashamed of that. I would just encourage you to take the time and the resources or whatever you need to do to make sure that you are communicating with your wife or husband and spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend in such a way that they can hear your heart. Okay? Remember, you are always on the same team. Always. Even when you're mad at her or him, you're on the same team. They're part of the solution, not the problem. Always remember that. So, I started grading today. I love grading. Actually, I love reading. I love this class. This is my favorite class to teach, so I love reading the assignments. And I've just been blessed as I've been reading that. So some of you have shared some deep things of your heart this week on the boards and other places, and I just want to thank you for that transparency and vulnerability. And so we're on week 7. The question of the day or the week is, if you could live in any other state, what would it be? And God has plopped me down in the middle of the frozen tundra of Illinois. I love hot weather. I love beaches. I love, yeah. So my wife and I would like to move back. We lived near the coast of North Carolina, so we'd like to move back to Wilmington area. That's where I'd like to go, or Virginia. So where would you like to go other than the place you live now? So with that said, any comments, any questions, any prayer requests? Let me know. Onward and upwards.